Hello, this is author Tonya Duncan Ellis here for another episode of my Instagram live show, Write This. Today I am on location at my public library. It's National Library Card Sign-Up Month, and so I decided to take the show on the road and pop into my local library to host today's interview. And it's really exciting as usual because we have an international author who will be joining me, Nadia Hohn. And she's going to be talking all about her picture book series, or picture books, and a lot of the works that she has in her author journey. So I'm thrilled to have her here and find out all about what it was like growing up in Canada and find out how she comes up with her ideas and inspiration for her beautiful, colorful books. So I am going to now invite her on and have her in. Hello, everybody that's joining. Happy to see you here. Happy to see you all pop in. See some familiar faces on here. And I'm going to come on and invite Nadia on here. Let's see. And this is her first time doing a live interview. So she was talking with me earlier about signing on, and we're going to get her on in a minute. So I see that some of my family is on there too. Happy to see you. Hope that you're doing well, and my thoughts are with you this week. And we'll just wait for Nadia to join us. How is everybody doing? Anybody have any questions on that you'd like to pose before Nadia joins us? Anybody got any questions? How's things been going your way? See a lot of people waving, so that's good. Okay, and Nadia has joined. Nadia, I'm going to send you an invite again. Let's see if I can send that on. I sent a request to you, Nadia, to join in and join me live. And then put in the chat if you have any questions, Nadia, if you're having any trouble. Okay, you're trying to join. Let me do it again. Let's see. Did you see the invite, or you need me to do anything else? Let's see. It's not letting me. Oh, it's saying unable to join. I don't know why it's saying you're unable to join. Let's see. Anyone, let's see. Send request. So I sent you the request. Did you see it? So I'm waiting for her to see if she can see that as we go live. Some reason it's saying that you're unable to join, Nadia. I don't know what's going on. Has it given you any message as to why you can't join? Okay, yay. Okay, it's saying view request, send request. Oh my, let's see.
Oh?
Yes, okay, you're here. Yay! It's always
Hold on. This is a weird okay. I'm joining you with my phone.
Yeah, you look great. I can see you.
Okay, I'm gonna close my computer. Okay, so I joined you on my phone.
Right.
I was trying my desktop. It doesn't seem to be working with the desktop, so
I told you you have to use your phone. I didn't tell you that. You can't.
Okay. No wonder. Hey, Tonya.
I need to write these instructions down because I never know, and then I don't want to
Yeah.
live because I don't want anybody coming on. Okay.
Exactly. No worries. No worries. So it's a first. It's the first time for me, so I've learned something new today.
Right. Well, I'm so happy to have you here, Nadia, and so happy that you agreed to join me because I've been wanting to learn more about you and your beautiful books.
Oh.
a lot of them around before we sign on in the author group that we're in together. And so I've been seeing them and I said, oh, they're just so beautiful.
Aw.
But can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I join you from, first of all, the traditional territories of the indigenous people of this land, the Anishinaabeg, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, the Mississaugas of the New Credit. So you know it as Toronto. The indigenous name is Takaranto.
Oh,
And I'm really happy to join you here. So I'm live and direct from Canada. My parents were born in Jamaica. They immigrated here in the 70s, and I was born here. So that's a little bit about me. What
oh.
else do you want to know?
Well, how did you start writing? Have you been writing since you were a child, or what got you interested in writing?
Well, yes, I definitely have been writing for a very long time. Like I remember wanting to just like I would make my own books, but I don't know if there was no story yet for the first bit. I just like to like document things and write things down. And then as I got a little older, I just started journaling. And of course, you had to write stories for school sometimes, but I would do this on my own time too. I just started writing, creating picture books and yeah, I just really enjoyed writing all the way through high school. I wrote for my high school newspaper, and at the time I didn't really think of writing as a possible career option. Like it just I always thought it would be something I could come back to and I would love in doing. And I certainly did that. And then I just continued writing even through university. I thought I was going to go into a variety of other careers, medicine, psychology, social work, all kinds of stuff. But I was always writing during those times. And then as I guess I kept writing through grad school. And I just remember there were times where I writing never felt like work. Like it was just a lot of fun. And I
Right.
wrote for paper and magazines and stuff like that. But again, it was just for fun. And then it wasn't until I became a teacher, a elementary school teacher, and just before I started teaching at a special school called the Afrocentric Alternative School. It's the first of its kind in Canada, first publicly funded school of its kind in Canada.
Hmm.
And just before the school opened, I was trying to find some picture books for my grade one classroom. And at that time, this is 2009, so there weren't a whole lot of options. I felt like I had bought all of the options, and I knew
Right.
I was like, there's something missing here. And I actually I have a lot of relatives in the States, so I went to New York. I looked for some books. I brought them to my classroom, and then I found that I wanted to teach my students about like different historical figures, but it was hard at that time to find books at a grade one reading level. So I started to write like I made like my own little leveled readers for my students about like Aretha Franklin and Dr. King and stuff. And then I had a story idea come to me, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then I found out about writing for children class offered at my local college at night school. So I took it, and the rest is all history.
This is awesome. And when
Yeah.
we were talking here, I heard you have sold over 500,000 books through some organization that bought one of your books. And show us your books. Show us.
Okay. So something called the TD Children's Book Giveaway. So, if you are in, I think New York City, you're probably familiar with TD Bank. I think it has TD, in Canada, it's called TD Canada Trust. And this is a bank, they sponsor one book every year to give to all the students, all the grade one students in Canada. So this year, my picture book, my very first picture book, I'm just gonna grab it here. Oops, it's called Malaika's Costume.
Okay.
So this book, I actually wrote this. This was a project in that writing class I took.
Oh,
And the book came out in 2016, but I found out earlier this year that it was going to be chosen. So 550,000 copies of this book will be
oh,
distributed to all.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold it.
That is so awesome, Nadia.
Yeah, so it'll be distributed to all the grade one students in Canada, everywhere from like way up north, Arctic circles, like, all over. Canada's a huge country, so I'm deeply honored that my book was selected for this giveaway.
Wow.
It was also a book that means a whole lot to me because it got my start into writing for children, and um, yeah, it covers a lot of different things, different topics, different, like, I'm just really happy. And it's also the first book in the series, the Malaika series.
Now, how did you get your books published? I know you've been writing really through your whole life, but what was that process like?
Well, I I didn't hmm. I guess I heard a lot of people say it's so hard to get published, and I'd hear all the horror stories of, like, having to send in hundreds of submissions and not getting heard, and I thought my path would be similar. So I guess I kept my dreams really small and conservative. And one
Hmm.
day, someone told me about a workshop on writing for children. And he's a friend of mine sent me an email with the workshop, and it was held at a local Black owned bookstore called A Different Book List Cultural Center.
Mhm.
And I went there. This was 2011, and there were three people on the panel. I believe one was a publisher, one was an editor, and one was an author. And I spoke to the publisher afterwards, and I told her, you know, I think I have a story. And for some reason, this publisher, when she spoke, her name was Sheila Berry, and she's a publisher at Groundwood Books, or she was. She's now no longer with us. But when I heard her speak, it was the first time I heard someone speak and make it feel like I could be published one day. Like, it felt real. Like, I'm like, okay, this is attainable. And I took her business card, and I still didn't think my story was ready, but she was very interested in hearing whatever I had to send to her. And she said, there's no rush. And she kept saying that, no rush. And then 2 years later, I did send her something. And at that time, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this submission thing. I sent the story to a contest. It lost the contest, it didn't win. But as I was getting it ready, and I had read it to a couple of my classes, my students, and I had a writing group, and I thought, okay, I think this is ready. So I sent the story to Sheila Berry, and by then she was at Groundwood. And then I sent it to another publishing house, and the other publishing house said no, but Sheila said, I think I like it. Um, and she's had some ideas. I worked on it. I sent it back to her, and she said she'd like to publish it. And in 2014, I signed the book. And then 2016 is when the book came out. And I, the cool thing about working with Sheila, I think she was very prolific. She knew the book would be big, and she saw the possibilities in the book, and I didn't see it. She she just said it was going to be big, and she thinks it's really going to do well and all this stuff. And even to this day, I'm like, how does she know?
Right.
Yeah. So, and then I think as the book, maybe the year before the book, maybe around 2014, 2015, I started thinking of another story about this character, Malaika.
Hmm.
And then that story became, sorry, I got lots of things around here. This story became Malaika's Winter Carnival.
Right.
Um,
I love it.
yeah,
And isn't Caravana is in Toronto, isn't it? They have,
that's right.
right.
So I'm a kid that grew up going to Caravana. Did you go to Caravana, Tanya?
Well, I used to live in Detroit. I never went, but people would go. I'm like, man, I should have gone when I was there. So that was like a big deal.
Car Caravana was like, it still is, but it's that event that, like, you look forward to all year.
Yeah.
And all the Canadian Black people here, we were looking forward to all you Americans. I mean, I know there's some adults watching, but that was also the time when I know a lot of people try to find boyfriends. American boyfriend. So, I mean, that's neither here nor there. But we would get like there are thousands of people. Like we're talking about people from England and from other parts of Canada, from the U.S. and from the Caribbean coming to Toronto, and it was just amazing. So I grew up going to this parade as a kid. My dad would take my sister and I, and then when I got old enough, I started going on my own. So I grew up with that in my head, and Carnival meant that much to me. So it came, I actually used Carnival kind of as it's a vehicle to tell a story about migration, um, changes in family, different things that happened in my family and a lot of people, especially Caribbean people who've migrated. So Malaika is the character, the carnival is the vehicle, and then you have all these other life experiences. And then the
Yeah,
final book in the series so far is Malaika's Surprise. That just came out in the spring.
that is beautiful. Now, I see on your social media, you also have your book, A Little Miss Lou, and I had been seeing that too before I saw
Yeah.
Micah. And what is that?
So A Little Miss Lou is a book that means so much to me. It took about 7 years for it to come to, because it was a lot of research required. I grew up hearing about Miss Lou, and Miss Lou her name was Louise Bennett Coverley. She was born actually yesterday in 1919, so if she were alive today, she'd be 102. And she was a poet, a radio show personality. She had a children's TV show, the Jamaican Sesame Street, called Ring Ding. She was an author, a singer. She was in a James Bond movie. She has very prolific person, like an unsung hero. And I felt she needed a book, a picture book. As far as I know, there's only one other book about her life, and that book was published for adults. So I really saw a place for this, and what inspired me to think along those lines, I actually taught some of Miss Lou's poetry in my grade 1 classroom, and the kids just loved it. They, especially the kids of Jamaican heritage,
Mhm.
learning the poetry in the spoken language of Jamaica, which is patois. Like they're just not used to learning it or seeing it outside of their home or hearing it. And it's a fun language. So I'm really excited and thankful that I got to do this book and that I got it published in time for her 100th anniversary.
Oh,
And I got to take this book to Jamaica, and I gave a copy to the Prime Minister's wife,
oh my,
and I got to read it to at the school where my mom grew up attending. I got to really do a lot with this book, and I hope it will continue because, like I said, her legacy, she's the reason why I think we hear dance, like you hear Jamaican patois in dance hall. Like it's so popular. We kind of take it for granted now, but this is a language that people were ashamed to speak. And she brought a certain dignity to it and also created a forum for it where it could be celebrated.
right. And
Hmm.
it's like you're really like a voice of a generation there in Canada, a voice for the people, so this is really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cool thing is that she lived in Canada for 20 years, but she's also lived in Brooklyn. She lived in London. She lived in Jamaica. So if you talk to people probably in the 50 years and up of Caribbean heritage, they will know and they will have memories of Louise Bennett. She was the first Black person to have a show in the BBC in England. She was a friend of Harry Belafonte and Maya Angelou and Langston Hughes. Like, this
Oh,
is somebody who really needs to be, like, get her flowers. And yeah, it was exciting to.
yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Well, with
Oh,
Maya, you see that patois influence in her poems and in her spoken word. So this is cool. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
Right. Now,
Yeah.
else about you is it seems like you're able to leverage things. You're able to get all these things mobilized. So how have you been able to do this stuff?
What are you referring to? Are you talking
Well, it
about
seems like
um
just I read that you were doing something with film and you bring together, like you're talking about all these little events you bring together and all that. So how has that come about?
Oh, okay. I think I mentioned there were a lot of careers I considered, and one of them was filmmaking.
Oh,
So I feel like I'm able to use that now, working on my book trailers. And I took a screenwriting. I'm actually a graduate student as well. I'm doing my MFA in creative writing, and I took a screenwriting
wow.
class in the fall, and I literally finished my final assignment, and 2 days later, I don't know, I guess God was listening. I get this email asking if I could be a screenwriter for a video. And I'm like, what? And in Canada, we have this thing called Heritage Minute. So it's like 1 minute of history. And this has been something that I've grown up seeing. Like they covered all these kinds of chapters in history. So Oscar Peterson is a famous jazz musician. Um, have you heard of him? Oscar Peterson?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Mm-mm, I haven't
So
heard of him.
he was like a child prodigy jazz pianist. He's long passed, since passed, but when he had performed with some of the greats of jazz in the US, he traveled down south. And so they were doing a history minute for him. And I did the screenwriting for the educational video that accompanied it. And I mean, that I think got me my brain thinking again about film. And I've done my own like short video, and I've done some interviews that like, and I'm actually really enjoying the editing process. So we'll see what comes out of it. Maybe who knows, like some of the screenplays that I've written, I would love to see them done. So I'm working on it. I think my dream is to be like a children's writing, but I just love writing on the whole. So yeah, I'll be dipping into different genres for sure.
So what does the future hold for, or do you have any projects coming up in the children's literature realm, or what's your next steps?
Sure. Um, let's see. I have two books coming out in 2023. I don't have any books coming out next year, which I think is actually a kind of a nice break because it's, as you know, a life of an author is pretty busy. So yeah, so I'll have two books coming out in 2023. One is a picture book. It hasn't been formally announced yet, but kind of has been announced that there's going to be a fourth Malaika book coming out. There's going to be an
Okay.
anthology. I have another picture book coming out, and that's to 2020. Ready to say we're in the highlights
Oh,
group together, so yeah. So I've been finding some collaborators, which has been exciting. And I'm working on two of my novels
right.
right now. One of them may end up being my thesis. And yeah, it's exciting to work on longer projects, which I've been working on them for many years, but I'm feeling like, okay, I'm making a lot of leads on it without saying too
Right. And
much
that's
about
good.
it.
Yeah, because you're in your MFA program, so you can be doing this kind of stuff right along with what you're doing for that. So that's good.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
it's quite busy, but I love it. I think doing the MFA program was a leap of faith because I'm an elementary school teacher and I've been teaching for many years, but taking the time off to do this during a pandemic, it was yeah,
Yeah.
I can't complain. I really do enjoy it. Lots of long hours and sleepless, sl limited sleep, lots of tea to keep me awake, but I enjoy it.
Right. Well, this is phenomenal. Just it's your energy is really
Thank
inspiring. Just hearing about all
thank
the background and all you're doing, and it's like you followed your passion. and it's kind of led you to where you are today with all that you've been doing. So that's
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about the possibilities, and I actually have to say that as a Black Canadian author, um, sometimes I do feel like I need to represent or speak on behalf of a lot of people because one thing I do hope my work does is create more visibility for Black Canadians here. Um, we so I think I look at like African Americans, they're our cousins. I literally have most of my cousins and my relatives live in the US, but we're cousins really, and we have a lot of shared experiences. And African American children's book authors and young adult authors have had such a huge impact on my own writing journey. So um, I really hope that there'll be a lot more African Canadian authors who you'll be seeing. There are a number, and I just hope that number continues to grow, and you'll see other books come out as well by different African Canadian authors.
And like you said earlier, when you were growing up, you didn't really see that as a viable option. And then even seeing you will make people think, hey, maybe I can do this too. Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
definitely. Um, I certainly didn't know that I hadn't seen any Black Canadian books growing up. There
mhm.
was one in particular that had a huge impact on me, and I actually got to interview the author. Her name is Nurbesi Phillip, um, and I would just like hope that my books will add to what's out there, so other children, Black children growing up in Canada, can see like just books that look like them and reflect their experiences, and know that there's these books out there. I think it's also about connecting the books to the readers.
Mhm.
And, that's our job as authors as we do our outreach, but also, teachers, librarians, bookstores. We have all of these kids that really, I think, deserve to see themselves in the books that they're reading and see their ways of speaking and language, like the patois,
Right.
and now also that we know as readers that there's such a variety of Black experiences too. And yeah.
Hey, and it's just what Rudine Sims Bishop says, making these books mirrors, windows, and sliding glass doors so that we are all included.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually got to meet Rudine. Have you been to Quelly?
I haven't been, and I want to go this coming year.
Oh,
I hear everyone talking about it. I've never been. That is,
it's
my goodness.
amazing. It's amazing, and I actually got to meet Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop. So this is like, it's about like for me, community is huge, and having a community of writers to connect with, like at Quelly, is amazing, and also like the one we belong to with the highlights. So yeah.
Right. Well, Nadia, I'm so happy that I had this time to talk with you and learn a little bit more about you. And can you share where people can connect with you if they want to follow up and find out more about what you're doing?
Sure. You could find me on a few social media platforms. I'm usually on Instagram quite regularly, maybe too regularly. But you can find my books. They are available on your local, like Barnes and Noble, Amazon, that kind of thing. I highly recommend supporting your local independent bookstores. If you go to my HN_author. If you go to that Instagram handle, you'll see in my bio a link to my link tree and all the links to get all the books that I've written. I've written also a book about Harriet Tubman as well. And yeah, you can find out more about me. I'm also on Twitter at Nadia LHOHN. And I have a YouTube channel as well, and I'm on Facebook. So pick your platform, and I'll be there. Not on TikTok yet, but one of these days.
Well, thank you. And I'll add links, these links, you're going to send them to me. So I'll add them to the IG
Sure.
video when we're done as well. Well, thank you,
Awesome.
and best wishes to you. And I'll be seeing you later this evening. We have another.
Yeah.
I'll see you then.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, Tanya, for doing this. And thank you, everyone. And have a great day. Happy writing for the writers.
All right, guys. See
Bye.
you next time. Bye bye.